Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight we have book model cover photographer Katie. She has been a photographer since 2010 and is an internationally published photographer. She resides with her husband and their children in Texas. Welcome to Unfiltered Romance Nights podcast. We are excited to have you.
I'm excited and nervous.
Yeah, we had to have you, the person responsible for all those yummy covers.
I know. It's funny. Some of the authors that you've talked about, I'm like, oh, I have their cover. They have one of my covers. So it's fun.
So we'll get started with some questions about you. Now, was photography your dream career, and how did you get started?
Photography was an accident. I actually have a degree in medical transcription. And I was really good at what I did. And I worked they sent me home and I just worked with doctors all day from home. And my husband at the time, we were living together and I never left. I had no reason other than going to happy hour. And then we got a dog and it was like a puppy, it's like a baby. So you can't leave it. And I got to the point where I was going to kill him if I didn't find something to do to get out of the house. And so I went and took a photography class on Saturdays for shits and giggles with my now mother-in-law. And I was awful at it. I was so bad at it because they're like rules of thirds and take a picture of a tree. And I was like, the real tree looks better than my tree. I was awful at it. And then the last project was people. And it was the only thing that I was good at. And within a year, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm just going to do this for fun, just to give me something to do. And within a year, I quit my job and I've kind of gone through all the stages. I've done the families, the newborns, the weddings. We've traveled to Jamaica, Hawaii, across the United States where people paid me to come do their weddings or their high school seniors. And then it just every time I get, I don't know, you could do it for a while. And then I fell into books.
Did you like doing the newborns?
I fucking hated it.
Yes.
Hated it. I was like, I always enjoyed when there was a good one, but then it's I had one where the baby cried. We didn't get a single picture. And I'm like, this is not fun. I love doing my own kids' newborn pictures. And I did the families for a while. And I still think I'm awful at that. I really well with single people or couples. So when I even do families now for people that I know, I'm like, they're very boring. I can't manage all you different people. There's no running in the woods and frolicking. And I'm just very traditional. I'm like, everybody stare at the camera because it's the only way I can focus on all of you.
Right.
No,
That's
okay.
funny.
Yeah. You said you did a lot of traveling with the photography at one point. Do you still travel now or?
I try and book shoots so I can travel. We went to Florida 2 years ago. My husband and I went, and he was going for a conference. So I tagged along and I scheduled 2 models so I could write off my portion of the trip and stuff like that. The goal is we were supposed to go this fall, but then life and didn't work out. We're going to go to London. So I'm going to try and shoot some models in London next year. That's the end goal. I need my children to leave so that I can go travel to Fiji and find half naked Hawkeyes and have my husband hold the light.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And he's okay with that.
So, that's hilarious.
I feel like your job is perfect, but I think for me, I'll be blushing the whole time. I'll be like, no, I can't do this. No.
The first couple times it was okay, take your shirt off. And now I'm okay, just take your shirt off. It's just, I don't know. I mean, you've seen one side of abs. You've seen 100 of them. Some are better than others. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have models that I'm I will call my husband afterwards and I'm honey, hashtag goals, babe.
Yeah.
I will send him pictures. I'm by the way, I'm scheduling you a tattoo appointment. We also need to do this now to your body. I think people have this envisionment that these photo shoots are super sexy. They are so. If people actually heard what we were talking about while shooting these pictures.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I have some of the most obscene conversations with my models. Sometimes it's therapy sessions for me, for them, If I'm mad at Kyle, my model knows all about it that day. And I like to ask for advice, you know. It doesn't usually work because they're usually 25 and single, but yeah.
What would you say would be the most challenging part of your job?
I don't work with a lot of I have a few, but majority of my models are newer. I live in Austin and there's a lot of people, but one of the things that I'm proud of with what I do is I'm bringing a lot of new faces to the book world instead of just like those few that are everywhere.
Chad.
I do try really hard to find new models, and I'm also in Austin. So it's like I have some models that I will bring in, but it's hard to kind of like figure out the models that are actually going to work. And then when they get in, if it's not an experienced model, sometimes it's training. It's kind of working through cakes and, you know, stuff like that. And like you deal with how to get what you want out of it when you don't know. I mean, there's a few photographers out there that I'm obsessed with. And like one of them does like all Magic Mike models. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. I don't have a Magic Mike model near me that knows how to dance and act and take his clothes off. I find random guys at the gym.
Do you?
All
Do you
the
go
time.
up to them? Oh,
All
that
the
is
time.
awesome.
My husband is just, when he goes to the gym, he's like, how many of these guys have you asked to take their clothes off? And I'm like 8-ish. Like,
Stay away from the blondes.
Several of my models on my gallery are from my gym. I am really good at asking people. I've been at bars and asked like random people. Like I was like contemplating, I even called Kyle because I saw this guy on a motorcycle the other day and he was going the other direction. And I was like, would it be weird if I like beeped and had him pull over? And he's like, yeah, that would be weird. I'm not sure he would. It's worth a shot.
Okay, I have to
awesome.
Because I used to live in Austin, and which gym did you go to? Because I feel like I've never seen anyone. We used to always go to the gym, like a group of us, to play. I think it was, oh my gosh, I forgot. It's in Pflugerville, but I forgot the name.
Okay, so I go to Gold's Gym in Round Rock. There is a gym that they just opened up and might get a membership just because I pretty much asked everybody at my gym who's remotely good looking and the time that I go. But there is this gym that's here that I was like, should I get a membership just so I can go ask people if they will take their clothes off for me? I mean, half of them already have their clothes off there. So I'm like, it's not weird. And it's really not. The first time I did it, I was like, okay, I've got this. But I have a really good little routine. Like, I don't feel like I'm creepy. And none of my models think I'm creepy. So they say yes majority of the time. Like, it's an interesting career that I am in now. All of my neighbors love it.
I love looking at them. I mean, I already bought a model from you, like a model cover. So,
yes. Well, one of my models, Storm, who is one of my favorites, he actually is the first model that I've had in my neighborhood and had him take his clothes off. No, he's the second. I did with Mike too. Like, and I had him bring his motorcycle. So the second time, but this last time we were like right around the corner from my house and with this area. And he like had and then one of my neighbors and her husband were walking their dog and Storm's got his shirt off. I'm like, he's wearing pants. Fine.
Yeah.
You see way more just walking down the streets in Austin, you know.
I think so too, like downtown.
Oh, it's, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're the talk of the street.
I am. When we first moved to Texas, because I'm from Phoenix, with my husband, that's where I met my husband. When we first moved here, we moved to a very wholesome, like sweet, suburban, like very sweet neighborhood. And I met a model at the gym, JD. And we were doing our photo shoot and he was in my bathroom and he was changing. And he's like, crap, I forgot something. So he ran out in just pants, nothing else on, to his car. And he comes back in and he goes, your neighbors are walking around. I was like, and they're all like, I'm pretty sure her husband doesn't look like that. Like, so I was like, no, it's fine. So now when we bought our new house, the first thing I told my neighbors, I'm like, do not get weird and do not text my husband if you see random guys come, bring luggage in and leave 3 hours later with different clothes on. It's not.
Oh my gosh.
It's not weird, you know.
That's hilarious.
Your husband
Yeah, and
knows.
all of my girlfriends are always like, do you need somebody to hold the light? What do you need? Do you need help? Yeah, it's a very, and all of my husband's friends and all of my friends' husbands are always like, do you need a dad bod? What do you like?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of jokes happen with my career.
Uh-huh.
A lot of joking around.
Well, I could definitely send you my husband if you're looking for the Homer Simpson. Some people might like that.
I mean, the funny part, I mean, have you seen Jessica Kane covers? Like, anything can sell. Like, you just never know.
I think with all the model covers I have in my bookshelf, my husband started like, so when he's away, he usually so he works there in Texas and we're here in Louisiana. So he'll like send pictures and was like, oh, okay, like where was this when you were home for like the summer? And he was just like, I'm like, what are you, like, why can't you do this when you're home? What is wrong with you? And he's like, oh, can I be your cover now? I'm like, no, because then we'll have to like add tattoos, like sleeves. You don't want to do that yet. So I'm like trying to convince him to have like
fake ones. Storm and I are getting ready to go tattoo down full blown fake tattoos all over. Because I can't find a guy who wants to take his clothes off that has a tattoo straight down. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. I mean, that's probably the hardest part of my job is I get messages almost every day from people who want to take pictures. But I'm kind of at that point where it's like, what sells? What doesn't sell? I can take pictures all day long, but if I'm not selling, I'm not making money. And certain things will sell and certain things won't. And then I have to like feel creative in that moment too. Like sometimes you just jive with somebody and it like works really well.
Yeah.
So I know you said you were like doing like family, newborns before. So how did you get started in like the book cover model photography?
I did when I was in Phoenix, my last couple years in Phoenix, I specialized in high school senior portraits. And I had a studio there. So I did individuals. And I definitely had a lot of dads that would get mad at me where they're like, why does my daughter look so pretty and sexy and stuff like that? So I've always kind of leaned towards the really prettier, sexier pictures. And I actually got into it because I, like everybody else in the world, have extreme ADHD. And I started listening to romance books because it shuts off this side of my brain. So this side of my brain can focus. So I can't edit if I'm not listening to a book. And so I got to the point where I would it was listening to so many books that I didn't know. I mean, a book a day, every day. I would listen to a 12-hour book every day. I just always had it in. And so I started writing reviews because I couldn't keep track of what I was listening to or what I liked. And then authors started reaching out to me and, hey, would you read my book? Before I even knew ARCs was a thing. I had like big authors that were like, hey, will you read? Because I'm really snarky and I say stupid shit all the time in my reviews. Like, I don't write bad reviews, but I will definitely make fun of your book if I'm like. So I just got to know a lot of authors. And I had one author, and I won't say her name, but she's one of my, she's in my top 5 favorite authors, and her covers are awful. But I love her books. So I don't care that her covers are off. I want to buy it no matter what. We all have that author where we're like, I don't care what it could be blank. It could be blank and I want to buy it. Well, hers are awful. They were so bad. And she was getting ready to start a new series. And I was like, can I shoot your cover? Can I shoot your cover model? I'll give it to you or whatever. But by time she ended up finding a different cover and she did something else. But then I got me thinking, I'm like, why don't I start doing this? I have all these authors that I talk to that follow me, that do all of this stuff. And I have all of these 20-something-year-olds that I did their senior pictures 5, whatever years ago. So I posted something on my Instagram and just said, hey, any fitness models I want to come do pictures? I think I had 300 messages from these kids. I was like,
oh my gosh,
it was out of control. And so I had to get picky and I narrowed it down. And then I literally started booking, and my husband's like, we're moving. And I was like, of course we are. I have 300 people who want to take their clothes off for me, and you want me to move 2 states away? So I did. I moved. I only got 5 or 6 of my shoots in, something like that. And then we moved, and then I had to start asking people at the gym. And it worked because, I've got a lot of galleries now.
Yeah.
So But yeah, and then I was like, I feel like I can do this. I just, it's one of those things. And I love it. I love what I do.
Well, I guess not so much now, but was it ever like super awkward to take pictures of these half naked men?
I don't really feel awkward ever. I'm too immature to ever feel truly awkward. We did have some moments in like, I had to yell at my father. That was actually, I think the most awkward moment was, it's going to sound, this is how it sounded. I had two guys at my house and because they were friends and I was doing pictures with one of them. And he's like, hey, my friend wants to do this too. Can I bring him along? And I'm like, sure. Oh, whatever. So my father-in-law, who I love dearly with all my heart, if you end up watching this, I love you. I called him and I said, hey, I'm doing a photo shoot today. Don't come to my house. Because he lived a couple miles away and he would just randomly show up. And so I'm in my bedroom because I shoot in my house. I shoot in my bed, with the bed that my husband and I sleep in. I shoot in my kid's bathtub. I shoot everywhere. Like all of the pictures you see on a bed, that's the bed my husband and I sleep in at night. And so I'm sitting there, we're in my bedroom, and I have Jackson is laying on my bed, and I'm standing over top of him. And he's got like just jeans on, no shirt, and his pants unbuttoned. Dalton is standing there with jeans, no shirt, holding my phone, recording it, and the light. And I was like, okay, Jackson, look this way out the window. And he goes, there's an old man in your backyard. And I look over and my fucking father-in-law is mowing my lawn. Like, I was like,
oh, shit.
So this was on like Friday. So Sunday dinner, I was so mad at him. I was like, you son of a, I told you. So we're at Sunday dinner with Kyle's, all of his siblings, like the whole family. And I was like, I am so mad at you. I had two men in my bedroom and you just mowing my lawn. Like, everybody's like, excuse me?
Oh my God.
And he's like, did you tell me not to come over? And we were just getting going. Like we were just starting. And I was like, don't ignore him. He's fine. But it was definitely an icebreaker. So after that, I don't feel like anything's awkward anymore. It's just take off your clothes.
Randomly mowing you. Oh my God, that's funny.
Your father-in-law heard, come over anytime.
He does what he wants to do, no matter what. He just really likes my attention, and that he got it. And I was just like, man, oh boy.
Can you remember like the first model you photographed, I guess, like for book covers?
Yes. Well, so I kind of have a couple. I have one that I shot that was actually my friend's son, and it was for that specific cover. So we only shot that. And then my first male model that I had come and ask him to take his clothes off is actually one of my biggest top selling models is Cole. And I love Cole. And we have now shot 4 times. He's come to visit me in Austin. I've gone back to Phoenix. I think we shot 3 or 4 times. That was probably the first one where you're like, okay, I need you to take your shirt off. It was weird, but it was like, I don't know. I think because even when I would shoot high school seniors, I had seniors because the world is it's so different. Like I had seniors that were fit. And so they would take their clothes off because they wanted to show their abs for their senior picture. So it was not super new to me.
Okay.
To like, I'd already done a few, people that were fitness stuff so it wasn't super, it was probably more like, how do I explain what I'm doing with these images? And how do you tell somebody your face is going to end up, you're basically a new age Fabio?
Right.
Fabio. Yeah.
Fabio.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, you're just more trendy, but it's the same thing.
So, for example, like you have Cole, you've shot him 4 separate times. Is it difficult to like come up with new ideas? Obviously, you're not going to do just always bed photos.
Yeah. So when we shot in Phoenix, and then I flew him to Austin when I went to Phoenix. So we've done 3 times. Then when I went back to Phoenix, I rented like a place. So it was like all different stuff. One thing that I have noticed that's nice about guys, as long as I space them out, that's different from women because we tend to keep everything the same. Like Every time I shot Cole, he looks totally different. One, their weight can change like that. They're like, oh, you want to shoot next week? I will lose 14 pounds and get right, I'll like tone up. And then they grow their hair out or they have a beard sometimes. Every time I shoot Cole or Jordan, like Jordan, the first time I cut him, he was like a buzz cut. Now he's got long hair. And then we do try to do different stuff. Like, I mean, there's only so much you can do with a person, even in general. Even when you look at cover, there's only so many poses that's going to sell. You can only wear so many different color suits and stuff like that. So really the big thing is like, I need your hair to be different than it was last time. That's like one of the bigger, and different lighting, different outfits, different locations, like stuff like that really can help. But I do definitely max out with unless they're making drastic changes in their physique or their hair, you kind of reach. Like I have a few female models that I'm like, we've kind of done everything. There's not much more we can do unless you're going to cut off all your hair and dye it blonde.
Yeah.
So you kind of reach that end point. Or you wait 2 years and then your face changes a little bit and all of that stuff.
Yeah. That is true. Men, we don't have technically we don't really have the option of growing a
beard or mustache or
where a guy can.
I mean, some of us do.
Yeah, well, I play on words here.
I don't think that's gonna sell. I don't think that's gonna sell. But okay.
Have you seen what Jessica Kane writes? It could sell. You never know.
Never know.
I feel like with females, it would be harder because some females are attached to their hair where if they like it long, they won't chop it off.
Yes. And they want it blonde, they'll keep it blonde. And I'm like, just dye it purple for like 1 minute. Like it'll go back.
Yeah, 1 minute.
It will go back.
It'll go back, And girls don't I really, really hope the trend of girls slides in hard because girls definitely don't sell as much as boys. There's just something about, a boy.
I have an author that she had her alternate cover were the female characters, female models. And I was like, I like those better than the male model. And usually I'm like a male model or illustrated type of cover. But those ones I was like, nah, I'm buying those.
I love female covers. I've seen a lot and I feel like that's kind of a trend that's coming too. And I hope it does because I know a lot of readers and that I talk to, and a lot of people love females for special edition hardbacks. If you have your male ebooks and special edition female covers, every author that I know that's done it loves them and they do really well. And I know readers love them.
Yeah. Or couples.
I'm not gonna lie. I tried it. Couples is probably one of my least selling things. And the problem is every time they're like, oh my God, I love him, but I need him with this. And so unless you buy the image and then write the book, the chances of these couples matching is very hard. So really you almost have to okay, I love this image. I'm going to write this couple so that I can describe both of them because it happens all the time. And then that's the weird Amazon, KDP, some of that stuff with certain authors. That's probably one of those things that I know about it, but I don't know about it. It fascinates me is when authors will tell me I can't put a shirtless man on my cover because KDP won't. I'm like, really? Because I see them a lot. I sell a lot of them. So obviously, but I think it's certain how people do certain ads and there's certain things but yes, couples are I have some, but yeah, it's just, and then when people step into that couples world, I get at least once a week from an author who's, if I could go back, I would never put a couple on the first book.
Oh, okay.
Because once you start, you're sometimes in, you do 3 couples, you can't just pick a guy. You have to do the couples. And now you've already talked about those characters in the previous books. So it's hard to just pick a random couple unless you bought all of them right away. It's one of those, those are the fascinating things that I'm learning about. And it's actually a lot harder to book couples for shoots. I have a couple where they're strangers and they're so much fun. But it's not always easy to ask somebody, hey, will you come be semi-intimate with this random guy. He's hot,
I'll
so
do
it's
it.
worth it, you know?
You would.
Yeah. Yes, I will. Thank you. You know.
If it's reverse age gap.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I'd probably do it.
they're getting popular. I mean, why not?
Right?
I'll be like, I'll just help with lighting. I'll throw in my
Right.
friend that lives there. I'll be like, you go do this for like $1.
You can take my daughter's job when I have photo shoots. Like, I mean, when I tell you this is the most normal thing for my family, it's seriously the most normal thing for my family. Like, my kids will be on the couch. My daughter, we have videos of her spraying models with water bottles, like to like while I'm shooting. She's like, "Can I do the water?" Sure. Okay. She's 9. She's just,
Oh, that's so cute.
like, I will be like in a room and I'm like, "Cooper, I need you to hold this light because I can't get it in the right spot." You know, their friends come over sometimes that I'll be doing, and they're just like, "Oh, hey," like they just.
It's
Just
the
a
normal.
job. So yeah, it's normal. Like my husband will get home and somebody will be here. He's like, "Hey," and I will just go up there. Like, it's just don't mind it. Just a guy in her bed. It's fine. You know, he's got his shirt off. It's okay. Like
Don't
my kids
worry,
will come
I'll
in
change the sheets.
empty. I have shoot sheets. I have a specific set of sheets that is for my photo shoots. But yeah, the only time Kyle's ever got mad at me is I did a shoot with somebody and there was a small amount of baby oil involved in it. And it got on the window and it took me, and he's like, "Are you going to wash that baby oil off the window?" And I'm like, at some point, I'm sure I don't even think I ever washed the baby oil off the window, actually. It could possibly still a little smudge on the window. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever." I mean, he will come home and I have rearranged the entire house. There's lights everywhere. Like our entire bedroom is empty. I took all the pictures, you know, all of whatever I have to do to get the light that I want. I will do it. And then probably wait for him to come clean it up.
He's your assistant.
He calls himself a Sherpa. So he carries my stuff when we go places. And I mean, we bought our house for my studio. Like, and he tells people that he's like, "We didn't buy a house, we bought a studio and she's just letting us live in it." Like, we bought this house specifically for my studio space. But I guess what pays bills. So, and it's a write-off. It's my favorite thing. It's a write-off.
You can write it off, yeah.
I can write it off. I shoot all over it. It's a write-off.
That's a good idea. Like, just use your, like, write it off. Like,
I know. I have to call my accountant because we're currently redoing our pool, and I'm feeling like that's a write-off because I
think
shoot
it
in
is.
said pool.
Yep.
I mean, he rejected me when I asked him if I could write off the water in it. I sent him a video of me photographing in it, and he said, "No, you cannot write off the water in your pool." But I feel like redoing said pool I did it for aesthetics. It's like redoing, like if I redo the floors in my studio, I can write that off. So,
right. Same thing if you're using it as a, you know,
yeah, for sure.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you do a lot of pole shots?
I've done 2. And now that I'm redoing the pool, I definitely it's so much fun to shoot in water. It's Texas, so it's going to get cold, but next summer. But yeah, I love shooting in water, in a shower.
Oh, yeah.
Every shower we've ever owned, I've put a person in it and took pictures in it.
Do you go in the shower too, or just?
No. I need a bigger shower. But like my son got home one day, he's like, "Why is my shower curtain down?" And I'm like, "'Cause Jordan was in your bathtub today." And he's like, "Oh, are you going to put it back up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right. I'll get to it."
Eventually.
You know, eventually. Kyle came home one day and the bathtub was black. And he's like, "The bathtub's black."
Gosh.
I did a photo shoot with it. It'll come out. It did come out. It didn't stain, luckily. I didn't think that through. It was a really good shoot.
How long do you usually like take for like a model? Do you do a whole day, half day, couple hours?
I had a couple hours. Like, we actually honestly spend more time. I shoot with purpose. There's only so much you can do. Like I said, there's only so many poses, and then it becomes overwhelming. I used to spend like really long times, but then I had so many images that it kind of gets mundane and, so like I had a shoot this morning and it was like he got here at 8:30 and we were done by like 11.
Oh, it's not bad.
2-3 hours. If we're talking a lot, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, that's like that sweet spot. And in that time, I shot 800 images that I can narrow down. So when I'm all said and done, the gallery will have like 150 to 200 images and cover options. So I was like, when I talked to one model, he had done a different book shoot. We shot for 8 hours. I'm like, oh my God.
Gosh.
What did you do for 8 hours? I would get bored.
That's a long time.
I didn't even like shooting 8-hour weddings. That's a really long time.
Yeah.
And it's just too much content. You're not getting what you like. You're not shooting with a purpose.
But that's still a lot, like 150 to 200.
Yeah. Guys, like my goal is to bring a lot of new models and a lot of new faces and not have every cover look identical.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do start shooting that way, you shoot those 8 hours. I want to have a big variety, but at the same time, like not oversaturate.
Okay. And then the author would buy the image, and then is that image no longer available?
Yes. Yeah. So my images are exclusive. And then I also remove similars, like very similar images, because that is probably the most stressful part of my job. What is similar? What is not similar? And everybody kind of has a different perspective. And I know the worst part about this job is that there are a lot of amazing cover photographers out there. And I'm a really talkative person. I'm an open book. If anybody, I have people that will reach out to me like, hey, I want to get in this. What do you want to know? Tell me what you want to know. I will like help you. I help new photographers all the time. But a lot of there's nobody to talk to. Like there's not a lot of interaction between like that I found between like cover photographers to like ask for advice. Like, how do you do this? I do know from other authors, don't like what's on the site is available. If you buy this one, still for sale. Like you only bought that image. That stresses me out like no other. When somebody buys an image, I sometimes remove so many images because I'm like, does that look the same? I'm always afraid that somebody's going to. And I've only had one incident where an author felt like they were similar, and luckily the other author just got a different, picked a different image, and it was like that line. So it's one of those very hard things. So that's the hardest part, is like, what is considered similar?
I thought me looking at, to find like a cover for my book, I was like looking at it, I was like, this is difficult. I can only imagine your job. It's like, because I was asking her, it's like, hey, what do you think? We'd spent like days like back and forth. I'm like, I thought this was going to be the easiest part of the process. I'm like, no, it's so hard. I'm like, every time we're like, oh, this is good. And then, oh, but I also like that one. Now we're just
that one.
I'm just like, okay, we need to like stop looking. We have to like, just go.
I actually do. I do have 3 authors who have bought the same model from different shoots for different books. And I know a lot of authors out there that are like, I freaking love this model. And they kind of suit everybody with that different aesthetic and stuff like that. But narrowing them down to get it to that point is sometimes really hard. But I feel like I'm trying to narrow them down more to make it easier. Cause sometimes I'm like, there are so many choices, but then I'll be like, but I like his face like this, but I also like it like this.
Yeah.
Like this or like this and like this. And then you're like, but what if they would have bought this one and not this one? And sometimes I just want to sometimes I just have to go with my gut and just go with it. And I have had several times where authors have picked out their image, the design didn't quite work. And then they like, can I swap it? Cause it can sometimes be hard. I think the smart thing, if you don't do it, is it does not bother me. Like they'll screenshot with my logo on it and they'll just do like the rough drafts of the cover. I can't remember what somebody called it. Just like a dirty draft, just like slap it in there to see if it matches or if the crop will be right. Cause sometimes depending on what you're doing, where your titles are to match in a series and stuff like that. And then sometimes I get like covers back and I'm like, holy crap, you did that with that? There's some serious talent out there in the design world. So, I mean, some of the designers that I work with, like Ashley and Cassie, what they can do blows my mind.
Yeah.
Right? They can take one of my simple little images and just make matte. It's amazing.
Weren't you in one of the covers for Kat Singleton?
I am. My hands are in it. It's a beer. It's so funny because
Oh, really? I did not know that.
her newest book is my hands. And it was really funny because my husband had to light test for me. And like, the model's coming tomorrow and I need my hands on his chest, but only my hands. So I'm like, I need you to come stand right. So I had everything like all planned out. I had to kneel down in front of him with the camera and put my hands like this on his chest with my head not in it. So my hands are on his chest. And so I'm like, this. And then he's got a remote in his hand. We did it at the end of the shoot. So we were literally like, if you could see both of our faces during it, we were dying. We were laughing so hard. And my husband's like, I cannot believe you made that man do that. Like, I cannot believe. I'm like, he was fine. It was just I mean, I didn't record it or anything like that. It would have been quite and we're right in front of a window. So if anybody just my hands on this guy's chest, me kneel down.
Here comes your father-in-law.
Yeah, right in front of him. But my hands are on a book. I was like, my hands made the top 100. It was pretty exciting.
Famous.
It was pretty exciting. So, but yes, it was I was like, I cannot believe you made that model suffer. I'm like, he could have said no.
Now, do you happen to read the books for the covers that you've done, or you gifted them sometimes?
I'll say I buy almost every single book. Even if they send it to me, it's like a thing. I buy them because I'm like, you supported me. I'm going to support you back. And it helps sales. So on release days, if they tell me that it's released, there's still a lot of authors who like will release and they'll never tag me in anything. So all of a sudden I'll be like, that's my cover. Okay. Which is crazy. So authors, if you're listening, tag your photographer because we share it and then our models share it and gets huge boosts. Because I mean, a lot of my models, their families all buy the books. Like they buy the books, but I personally I always buy, if I know, I usually always will buy the book, which my husband just told me recently I need to stop doing that because it's becoming excessive because I've got over 300 books with my covers on it now. I've only read a couple. It scares me to read them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a big reader, but I'm a bitchy reader sometimes.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I get that.
I like, what if I don't like the heroine? What if I like, so it's just better to like have it on my shelves and be like, I can be a really picky reader. And I'm definitely I'm in my paranormal era right now. I'm all about, the Zoe Draven aliens, like that kind of stuff. If you don't shift into an animal, I don't want to read your book.
I love it.
I haven't read, I think the last shifters that I've read were Sherilyn Kenyon, and I haven't went back to that world yet. So,
I just love, Susan Wright is like one of my favorite authors. The woman can do no wrong, even when she's doing wrong in her books. I don't care. I love them. They make me happy. Like Nalini Singh, like I could read her over and over again. That world building and all that fun stuff. Nobody has turned any of my models into an alien, and I'm starting to feel a little offended about that. And I'm really hoping that one of them would, that I will read it. 100%. I should reach out to Zoe Draven and be like, please make a model into a alien.
Yeah.
Please.
okay. So for authors listening,
Right.
you can turn our models into alien.
Please. Like, I just would love it. I've seen it done. No, none of my models are purple or green or have horns.
Blue.
And I'm here for it.
Props. It's Halloween time. I'm sure you can find something.
Right? Come on. Like, oh.
I think Halloween, they always just do like the mask or...
I have a lot of mask and skull images too.
Yeah.
One of my first bigger covers was at Katie Rose, and Ashley did the cover, and it's amazing. It's from Dalton's. I don't know if I have it right here. I probably do. Do I have it up there? It might actually be up in my room in my stack because I love that. The cover is amazing. And one of my friends did this skull face makeup on Dalton and it was so good.
You have your covers there. Do you have one you could show us?
Yes, I have. Who do I have here? One of my favorite, Candy Steiner's. That's Jordan.
Oh.
This was one of those people. I love Jordan and his girlfriend, and I've shot with Jordan a ton of times. This was our first shoot together, and he was the first model I was contemplating licking. I just kept telling him how pretty he was. I was like, "You're so pretty." And I still tell him that every time I see him. I still, although actually this is Jordan too, but I will tell you, this was my first. This was a big cover for me because Jay Cronover was one of my first audios. When I first got into romance, I read Kristen Ashley because that's what you do. You read 50 Shades, and then you read the crossover series by what is that? Sylvia Day, right? Yes,
that's it.
Read 50 Shades. Yeah. That's how you start. It's the gateway drug, 50 Shades, and then you read the crossover series by Sylvia Day. And then I found Kristen Ashley, and then I found Jay Cronover. And when she messaged me, I almost dropped my phone. And she's like, I need a cover. And so what's cool about this is his dad, this character's dad, is one of my most re-listened to books. The Archer Boys. So when this happened, I was like, oh my God, I've made it.
Aww.
One of my favorite authors has my books on it. And this is one of the ones with the skull.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, and then this one's my hands. So my hands are right there.
Oh, yeah.
So now picture where my head is.
I feel like I know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. I love it.
My husband here, he's like, that man's probably never coming back here to shoot again. I was like, probably not. No, it's fine. But yeah, no.
One of your covers was on, our model is C.R. James. He's one of my favorite models that you have.
He's so hot.
He is.
Yes.
I wish I bought the models for this, but I have her special editions, and I'm just like, I need to stop buying multiple covers for one.
It's so good. It's crazy to go on Amazon, and I'm like, or my daughter will be like, that's your cover.
Does she tell, I guess, her friends know that you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They tell everybody. They just had an author at school. And, Carter's always like, my mom works in books.
Here's her number. Call her if you ever need a cover.
Call her if you need a half-naked man.
I mean, question, what kind of author was the author?
She went to an elementary school to talk about her being an author. It's funny they didn't ask me to come in and talk about book worlds.
Right?
Come on, guys. I work in books.
Right.
They might say wrong demographic
in here. It's fine.
They're not rating it. It's just, it's career day.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Kyle will take me somewhere for his work, or I'll meet a new mom, a new mom friend, a parent at basketball. And they're like, what do you do? And then you can't say I'm like, well, I can't just say I'm a photographer, because then they'll be like, will you take my family pictures? Will you take off your clothes for it?
Yeah, right.
So it's always, and then I'm like, I take pictures of half-naked hot guys for romance covers. And then every time it's like, excuse me, what is your Instagram? I need to see this. And then we'll be somewhere, and the first time I met Kyle's boss here, and his boss is like, what do you do? And Kyle's like, yeah, what do you do, wife? And I'm like, oh my God. My husband finds me hot people all the time. One of the shoots that I'm going to be doing has a bike involved in it, and he found the couple. Yeah. I mean, I have friends, one of my girlfriends was at dinner one night, and she's like, my waiter's super hot. Should I ask him if he wants to do pictures? And her husband's like, do not ask him to take off his clothes for one of your friends.
Oh my God.
She's like, but he's so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure that. Just give him my Instagram and tell him to message me. So
there you go. Right.
If they go to your Instagram, they'll know what they're going to get into if they message you, you know.
I mean, that's what I do when I'm even at the gym. It's one of those, like, my big thing is, like, I try not to be weird. Like, I crack jokes, but I'm really chill. I just ask them, like, hey, do you have Instagram? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, will you go check out my page? Like, here's my Instagram. I work with fitness and models and stuff like that. And I work in book covers. I'm like, I think you would have a really cool aesthetic. Follow my page or don't follow my page. Check it out. If you're interested, shoot me a DM and we'll talk about setting up a shoot. So it's really simple. The big thing is, like, I show them what I do. This is what I do. I show them, like, the book covers. Check out the book. And I always tell every models, like, because I don't think it's one of those things that anybody should be ashamed of doing. It's so cool to see your face on a book. But I do always forewarn them that I cannot control what kind of a book you're on. And most of them are like, if I'm on the next 50 Shades of Grey, I am here for it. Like,
Right.
I mean, why not?
please let me end up on Oprah, whatever. You know, I would love if the entire world sees my face, you know. Some of my models have had authors who, like, have written the book specifically for them. Like, they would ask them questions, you know. They're like, because they get more followers on Instagram. So a lot of the models, they do get a lot of followers on Instagrams. And I will tell you that romance readers are loyal followers.
Yeah.
They bring a lot of hype to your page.
Right. That's true. I mean, even if it's just the model, sometimes that's what they will picture once they see the model cover. And then they'll be like, hey, that's, you know, whoever the character is.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my models say that they would much rather take the comments from the romance readers than the closet gay men who are sending them dick pics. So, they're like, I will take a romance reader all day long. She's at least telling me I'm pretty. Like, nicely. Sometimes not so nicely, but majority of the time we're pretty respectful. You know,
I think majority, like, the right side of book talk, majority of them are respectful. So
yeah, they really, I mean, I haven't had none of my models have ever had a bad experience with readers. They all say they love them. They comment on their pages. They follow along. They send them nice messages. They've never had a bad experience with one. Thank God.
It will only take one bad.
Take
them out. We're like, nah, I'm done. Like,
I mean, my romance readers on my page, or I never have to block them or stuff, but there are a few other people I've had to delete a lot of comments and I ignore a lot of messages. And I'm just, I'm like, if this is what I'm getting, I don't even want to know what you guys are getting.
Right.
There can tend to be, like, some that push it over the limit where it's, like, super inappropriate. And I'm just like, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
Fiction versus reality.
Fiction versus reality. But I think sometimes they're in love with both.
True.
Colleen and I talked about this. We read really dark romance. I'm not going to survive that in the real world. I'm sure the guy is going to be in jail. By the end of one scene, they're gonna be in jail.
Yeah,
like, I don't know how, like, when people like, sign me up for that. I'm like, wait, what are you signing up for?
I only have one trigger, and I can't do cheating. It's the only trigger I have. If my husband said even a quarter of the alpha bullshit that I read,
right,
I would punch him in the dick. Do that. I have, like, extreme ODD. Like, don't tell me what to do. So I do crack jokes with him all the time. My favorite thing to, like, say to him, and I'm like, that's not what my book person would have said. And, you know, like, I say that shit all the time to him. I'm like, well, this is what you would have said. Like, this is what you would have done in my book. You would have done this. And that's why when I read Kim Jones's That Guy, which if you've never read that, the book is fucking hilarious because it's really about that. It's like making fun of romance novels and stuff like that. But my husband always laughs because he's listened to one of my favorite books with me, like, in the car once. The kids were in the back seat and I had an AirPod in and he had an AirPod in. And it got to, like, the first sex scene. He's like, this is what you're listening to while you do math with our son. And I'm like, this is the only way I can get through math with our son. This is happening inside. I am picturing his 12-inch penis while I'm doing fractions. 100%. Like, yeah, it's the only way to keep me from losing my mind. But yeah, at all times.
I think like my husband, I made him listen at one point, like just to, because he's just like, I don't want to know, I don't want to read or whatever. He's just like, he always says like, you're just reading porn. And I'm like, no, it's not the same, but whatever.
Yeah.
But did you find that when he was like reading and listening that you're like, crap, don't do that? Like, my husband said the other day, well, can I read your book with you? No, you can't. We did that once. And so he's like over my shoulder reading. And I'm like, I am super uncomfortable with you being this close to me right now while I'm doing this.
Yeah, he doesn't want to read them. He's just like more or less. I mean, I'll screenshot like scenes like this.
Yes.
The sexy scenes is like, hey, look at what they're doing. And he's like, and his response, I know for a fact you're not going to do that shit. Don't even bother sending me.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't want him to read. I was like, do not get any ideas. Just because I enjoy this in a book does not mean I want you to do this. You're not going to have to on anything. Get out of here. Go away.
This might be TMI, but I can like experiment, but none of the shit that I read is not happening. Because some of the stuff is like, is this even sanitary?
Oh, yeah, right?
No, like half of you guys is like unsanitary. Well, and then like I think the Hunting Adeline, if you've read it or not, like that one scene, I think I screenshotted to him like the gun one, and he's looked at me like, because I screenshotted and then showed it to him, and he's, the fuck are you reading? What is wrong with you? And why are you enjoying this stuff? And I'm like, this is out of context when I'm sending it to you.
It's good on paper. I haven't read that. Like I said, but when I was reading Zoe Drew, Captain of the Horde Kings, what the fuck are you reading? I am planning for when we have to move to another goddamn planet. I am going to thrive. I am telling you, you're all dead. I am going to thrive. I am going to find the king of the aliens, and I'm going to be his mate. And I am going to, whatever. I mean, I have been researching how to survive on another planet, and I am going to be fine. You're all
only the book girlies are going to survive.
We're going to be fine. Like, you're going to know who researched living on another planet, and I'm going to be one of those.
I might not read those, but I think it's like half of the stuff that we read, like if it's super dark, I think we'll survive.
It's really in the same world. Yeah, because I mean, some of those, I mean, you're still captive. Like, they still kidnapped you. I mean, you would survive a kidnapping, though, probably without a problem.
Oh, I would welcome it. I need a break from my family.
I was contemplating jail the other day. I was like,
real life.
No, I was on the phone with my best friend, and I was like, I mean, I feel like 1 year in prison wouldn't be bad. You're in a quiet cell. I don't have to cook. I don't have to do laundry. Ain't nobody calling me mommy. I just have to read.
There you go.
All day. I think I would be fine. I don't think I would. And if I want to like talk to somebody, I can go out into the little common area. I mean, as long as you're not like in like high max security prison, you can watch TV. Like, it's not sounding bad right now because 1 year. Could you imagine going 1 year and not having to think about what's for dinner?
No. You could read all day long too. Like, it's quiet.
Like, and you're not going to get fat because they don't even really feed you that much stuff.
Yeah.
You'll probably lose more weight because you have to like be, prepped and just make sure
you can walk the track and just read all day.
Watch out for the commissary though. If your husband's going to put money on it and you're going to get those sticky buns and the ramen.
I don't know if my husband would. My allowance would probably be super low.
That, like, your TBR, you'll catch up on your TBR,
right? Yeah. Like, they have a library in there. I mean, I can read almost anything. So they've got to have some romance novels in there. That's where all my commentary money would go. My husband would have to send me 7 books a week. So, yeah. I'm like, oh, all the time. God, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because you could probably read like 1 book a day.
For sure.
Nobody's bothering you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at that point you just get used to all the noise anyways, and I can multitask really well.
There you go.
And I'd never get in trouble because all I did was read. Nobody's going to fight the girl reading.
No.
So, no.
Have you ever photograph anyone like super famous?
No, not yet. I feel like I need a lot more followers. Right now, my biggest models, like social media influencer models, are Lockie, Trevor, Aaron, and Cole, I think are my biggest. Trevor's got like 1 million followers on TikTok, but I haven't photographed anybody famous in this world. I have worked with pro baseball players like for wedding stuff back in the day. One of a pro baseball player from the Dodgers, I photographed his sister's wedding or sister-in-law's wedding. So
Pretty cool.
yeah, I got to meet lots of cool people doing that. But no, I'm really one of these days. But it's really hard to get one. I try to keep myself in a very reasonably priced with what I do. I don't want to charge a ton. I want to be able to like reach all of these different varieties of authors. Like I have really big authors and I have really little baby authors that like it might take them a year to even pay off my image, let alone some others. So that kind of also is one of the reasons why I try to stay into newer, smaller models, because some of the fees to like work with some of these big models that are out there that I would love, like if they have an agency, it's like you have to pay agency fees and you have to pay their fees. And there's just a lot more that entails in it when you have like, and they want just more for each image than I get paid for each image.
Yeah.
And some of them, like they did it early on, and that's other things. Like I think some people, like a lot of these models that are really popular, they won't do book stuff anymore because they did it at the beginning of their career.
Right.
It helped them grow, and it helps a lot of, which is one of those things that I tell people. It's like such an amazing like opportunity to get in there because Bookstagram and Book Talk will blow you up. Like they will put you on some maps, especially with a big author, and it can really help grow your social media platform. But then a lot of them do get to that point where they're like, okay, well, I've already done this. This is a part of my chapter, but now I'm moving on to this. So it's not always easy to get some of those. I mean, if I can get, I always say his name wrong, but Christian Hogue. God, I would probably end up, that would probably be how I spent my year in prison. If I was within reach. I send that man to my husband all the time. He's so pretty. He's like perfect.
I don't think I know who that is.
You do. He's actually been on some covers, but he's from years ago. It's his last name is like Hogue. He's in LA. He's got to be the most perfect specimen. But it's not even that he's good looking. He is so photogenic. The way, like when you look at his page, like the stuff that he does, he's so fucking good at what he does. One of the most, I would give anything to have that man be in front of my camera to teach me something. Because he's just such an amazing model and beautiful. And he has perfect abs. Like he's
Then you should like Google it.
Oh my God. He's beautiful. Did you Google him? He's so pretty. Oh my God. Oh, he is so pretty. He is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. He's beautiful. He is on a couple of books and I can't remember, but they're big. And, I'm assuming the authors to get him on their books because he's not on a ton, but he's got a few. And I'm trying to remember who it is that had him.
Oh, I feel like I've seen this cover before.
It's like light. It's like a whitish cover.
Well, I'm like on Google. It's like all just like not book cover, but
he's got somebody, and it's a bigger author. And I'm just trying to remember.
T.L. Swan. I think T.L. Swan has it.
Yes,
T.L. Swan.
Yes,
I think it's this one. Or well, I mean, you can't say it much.
There's another one though too. But yes, guys,
right? Like he has like blue eyes too. Like
it's just, and he's like,
go on his Instagram. He's got an ad for Cool Water.
I will buy it. Yeah, I got it. Done. Sold. Take my money. Do you come with that?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. That would probably be an expensive cologne.
He has got, so I follow him on Instagram. He gets stalkers like all the time. Like he actually posted on his story once of this loony woman outside of his apartment. And she was like, Christian, tell this police officer that you love me and all of this stuff. And he's like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? But in her mind, they were like, she really thought they loved each other.
Jeez.
And that's where I'm like, it's one of those things. I want to be popular, but I don't want to be that big. I don't ever want to be that big. I also don't want the hate that comes with being that big.
That's true. Well, I think we already covered the last question, but I'll ask it anyway in case you have another one. So with that, you don't have to use any names. What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened at a shoot aside from your father-in-law mowing the lawn?
God, that was still pretty mortifying.
I love that.
Oh just my mouth, the stupid shit that comes out of my mouth. I embarrass myself all the time. I have zero self-control. Like even getting ready for this, I was talking to my best friend and I was like, I mean, what are the chances I'm going to say something stupid? And she's real high, real high here.
I don't think you did. I don't think you did. I mean,
I don't really think, okay, so there's only been once that I've been like embarrassed in a shoot. And it was like, I had an agency ask me to do underwear pictures of one of his model. I accidentally made a joke about it because they have to fill their underwear.
Oh,
so they have to take breaks. And it was like, oh, it's a shame you don't have a fluffer. And he's like, what's a fluffer? And I'm like,
oh God.
Never mind. Had I known I could have gotten you one, it would have been fine. But he was just like, what's a fluffer? I think I was like, no, it's fine. But I was just like, that was probably, I was keeping a straight face during that.
That is awesome.
So it was like, well, that's the last time I'm doing underwear because I am not mature enough for this at all. Because I'm like, it's hanging out. It's just okay. Like, it was just, I don't know, stare at. I don't know what to focus on. Like, my camera doesn't know what to focus on. Like, I am not mature enough to be photographing underwear.
Are there any books that have like just, they're wearing underwear? Like,
no, I don't think so. I mean, I would do underwear pictures of Christian Hogue, though, for sure. I'm sure I would keep my shit tight and I would not say anything inappropriate. I would make my husband come so that I would behave.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd actually behave, but he would at least be there going.
Probably like behind, like just cut it out.
He knows it's coming before I even know I'm going to say something stupid. He knows it. He's like, oh shit. Like, it's just, he knows. He's like my emotional support puppy. Like, he can sense when stupid things are about to happen before I even know what's going to happen.
Oh, you keep life interesting.
I do keep his life very interesting.
Now I'm be like, can I visit you? Like, I'll visit my friends that live there and then be like, hey, do you have a shoot that I can be like your assistant for today? Right. I don't care. Like, if I'm on vacation,
what I need to do is I need to like live stream my shoots. But then my inappropriate conversations are recorded online. You know, I'll be like, what do I talk about? We're not going to talk about. I mean, we've had the most obscene conversations. And then I call, and it's so funny because my husband does not give a shit, but I call after to tell him about it. Like, he cares about such and such's dating life or digestive tract or like whatever happened here or their new diet and how they're being affected by kale. And, you know, I mean, literally, there's no TMI in my life, like, ever. I will talk to strangers about sex. Like, I just don't care. Like, it's just, I believe the world would be a better place if we all just would say what's on our mind. No, we shouldn't do that. That's not actually that. The world would not be a better place.
It depends on the person that you're talking to. I think.
It would be a better place if we were all more open about like normal things. But yeah, no.
And a little less offended.
Yes, a little less offended because... Yeah.
Like my friend, you know, she'll always ask me, it's like, do you want, hey, can you like recommend books? I'm like, no, not to you. I'm not, because you like the Nicholas Sparks stuff. And I like way beyond 50 Shades. Because like she'll like say, oh, that 50 Shades will make her blush. And I'm like, or even just like their first kiss, like where it's just, not like
closed door and they're like,
yeah,
"Ooh."
like yeah, she's like, oh, I'm blushing. I feel like people are like watching me like when I'm reading. And I'm like, yeah, don't
When
ask me for
Bridgerton came out.
recommendations.
Did you guys watch Bridgerton when it came out? When
Just the
Bridgerton
first
came
season.
out, somebody's like, oh, you need to watch Bridgerton. It's spicy. And I was like, you need to never read any of my books. Like, what is spicy? Where is spicy? Like that 365 book, that was a little bit more spicy. Like that movie was I was like, what kind of shit are you reading if this is spicy to you? I'm like, no, I can't refer people books anymore because like for some reason when people are getting to romance, they don't want to read about alien penises.
No.
No.
Or people who shift into animals. Like for some reason, I'm like, they're not here for it. I feel like you have to work your way into that. So then I have to go way back to the beginning where I'm like, 50 Shades? Kristen Ashley?
Well, she sent me a picture like the other day that she was reading. And I was like, so I had to like zoom in. And I was like, oh, I know that author. I like Anna Huang.
Her Twisted Love series?
Yeah, but like the series that she wrote before the Twisted Love. I have the books. I was like, I haven't read it yet. And she's, yeah, I'm liking it. And I'm like, okay. But I don't know if there's like spicy scenes in there. Because I was like, Twisted series didn't have that much.
No, not a ton. No, it was more of a clean, very regular romance where, they were good. I liked all of them. But I actually really have a hard time with like contemporary romance.
I think we ruined ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we just read too much of it. We can only have the miscommunication trope is like where you're like, we're going to do 12 hours of for over something dumb. Like I need like twisted paths or like something really dramatic or somebody tried to kidnap you or kill you or something like that. If a car doesn't blow up, I'm not really.
Yeah.
Like you didn't escape death once in that book. You don't deserve your happily ever after with your 12-inch penis.
That's why I'm like, I stay with Mafia because at least I know with Mafia, there's always going to be
Have you read Neva Altwez, her Perfectly Imperfect series?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've read it 3 times.
I read 2-3 books, I think, of hers.
I love them. They get more and more over the top obsessive. If you want a hero who is next level clingy, those books are amazing. I do love a really over the top.
Yeah. Jagger Cole.
Oh,
I'll have to write that down.
That was good.
Eva Winters, I love hers. And hers are not like her MMCs are like possessive, obsessive, but not if you're going to compare hers to Jagger Cole's are like unhinged.
Yeah.
So but it's different. But like I started with hers, Kylie Kent and Eva Winters, they were the one that I started with Mafia. So I would read it no matter what. And then as I go on with this Mafia stuff, it's, they get Jagger Cole. And then Rena Kent has some Mafia.
I haven't tried Rena Kent yet. Is that good? Which one do I start with?
If you want to go in order, then you need to go all the way to the beginning, the Royal Elite series.
Okay. And then the other one that keeps popping up is Michelle Hurd.
Hercules?
Is it Michelle Hurd?
Michelle Hurd
One of
is
those two.
Mafia. Yeah. Michelle Hurd is Mafia. And then I think Michelle Hercules is like more like
contemporary sports.
Contemporary.
Okay,
like,
then I think it's Michelle Hurd that keeps popping up. And then I was like, I need to like, those are good too. Have you read those
her
yet?
Mafia series are, like, I haven't read all of hers, but I'm going to be like, she's on my next list. I need to finish Rena Kent first. I'm like, I need to get through this Legacy of Gods. Like people was like, I was like, no, I already start from the parents. I'm like, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to just do the reading order because I'd rather do that because then at least I know where these kids get there.
Yeah. And there's Mafia in them.
Right. Yeah. Like the parents. Because I'm reading all the parents right now, or like I've read majority of the parents. I was like, I can only imagine their kids because the parents already are like psychotic as much as like she always tops it. Like every time that you read this, I don't think she's gonna top this MMC. And then like I read the most recent one that I read was Adrian. which he's in the mafia. And I was like, okay, well, now he's crazier, but okay. The next one, we'll see what it is.
That's how I feel about the Neva books, where every time I'm like, there's no way these heroes can get any more possessive or like clingy. And then she does it. And you're like, oh, look at you. Look at you. The first one is Painted Scars. And so it's fun though, because all of the heroes have like, in the first one, he's in a wheelchair and then he has like a limp and they have scars or they have hearing impairment or they have, a lot of them have a lot of shit that have happened to them. But the Sergi, which is book 3, they're just kind of unhinged, but in a cleaner way. They're not super dark, but yeah, like some of the stuff that these heroes do, I'm like, I will say though, I haven't met anybody who didn't like them. And they're not long. They're really quick reads. I mean, you can binge the entire for your 10 books in a week. But they're not super duper long. If you're like me, I listen to all the audios, and the audios are really good. But yeah,
they?
Yeah, I like the audios.
She's looking for audiobooks, so because she was like asking me, I said, I don't really have like audio.
I love reading. I don't have time to read because I have a very addictive personality. So you start a book, you finish a book, and you might not eat while you finish said book. So I prefer audios, and they're all good audios. And they're, like I said, they're not super long. They're like, I think 8. For every book seems to get a little bit longer. Like the first book, I think is like 8 hours, but by the last one, it's like 12 or 13.
I've noticed that with like authors, like they started with like shorter books. Like perfect example was Jagger. Like I was reading his backlist and I was like, oh, these are quick read. Like I can do this in like 3 hours reading it. And then as I get through it, and I'm like, wait, why are we getting to 400 pages when it was like less than 300 that one time?
I picked it up because it was like 182 pages, and now I'm committing an entire day.
Yeah. Now I'm like, you can't do this to me, because now they just keep getting longer and longer.
And you can't not. You have to continue. You have to know. And they've been building it through where you're like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, when they're end, I'm like, this should be 47 hours. Like I never want it to end.
Yeah, that's true. Like, because I mean, like with Jagger too, his world are like interconnected. So you get interested with the side characters because you know they're gonna come in. And then I'm pretty sure he said that he's working on the next generation for next year. And I'm like, oh my God.
Okay.
Now it's going to be longer. Same thing with Eva Winners. She's going to be doing the next generation. And I think there's at least 8 books in the next gen. But there's so many kids. Like, can I have the family tree so I know which one is kids?
Don't you ever wonder, like for some of these big authors who do this, I'm like, do you have an entire wall just dedicated to like pins?
They have to, right?
Like, especially when you're building such a big world. The average author, like it's like they have their small world, like Kristen Ashley, like all of her, every book has like innuendos, but like I think the bigger one, and it's more paranormal, like Nalini saying her Side Changeling has, between the two, has I think 23 books. If there is an error in your book, I'm going to catch it. If you screw up a hair color, an eye color, say the wrong, I'm going to catch it. Like, it's my superpower. In 23 books, I have never caught. I'm like, how have you not screwed up? What does your wall look like? That you have kept this elaborate world and all of these characters, and they all interact in every book. I'm like, how do you do that? It's truly a talent. I can't even get through a 2-hour photo shoot without like forgetting what my model's name is.
Have you like called them by a different name at one point?
I just call everybody babe.
Babe, a little to the right.
Yeah. Can you move over, babe? Yeah. Or you're like, how do I pronounce it? I'm just not going to say his name. We're just not going to say it. We're going to, babe, hey babe, how's it going?
That's like one of the things that like I get nervous when we're doing this, because I'm like, is it going to be a hard name? How am I going to pronounce this? Because I'm the one introducing the guest. Like, how am I going to do
And then you're like, I don't want to ask you your name. How do I say it? You just never know where the silent letters are. You know, luckily I didn't make you pronounce my photography name.
I had like actually funny enough, like on my script, it's in there, but I was just like, I'm not gonna try and.
It's exactly how it's spelled. Cadwallader.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I
I was
did
just
notice that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought
Maybe
it
she
was gonna
missed
be,
it.
but I was just like, I don't even want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So Katie's here.
I've gotten so many that it's like, it's one of those, I almost changed it. Like when I was going into this, I almost changed it. And I actually had 3 or 4 authors that I asked and they're like, do not, even though I can't pronounce your name, I recognize it anywhere. And I can start spelling it. Like I can get through the CAWA and then you always pop up. So I was like, okay, fine, I won't change it. Cause that's my maiden name. Cause I started my business like the year before I got married. And I thought it would have been rude if I, jumped the gun and.
Yeah, jinx it.
Yeah, because that would have been awkward. I have to change my LLC. So.
No, it'd be funny. You
that's
just like
funny.
flip over that last name.
That brings us to the end. We had a great time. Thanks so much for doing this. You're actually our first photographer.
I am excited to pop your cherry as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, well, we need, we just don't need authors or influencers. We have to have people that are in the book world. Our next one would be like a model and a narrator.
I can hook you up with a model.
Without you, we wouldn't have the awesome book covers. So we've got to get you out there.
Yes. If you ever need a model, I know a few. So
I got my own downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Look, we tried the husband interview thing and
didn't go well.
We had a good time, but
we had a good time, but I was like, we're going to get canceled with all the answers that he's saying. So I edited it and I was like, if I edit anymore,
there's
only
nothing
to it. There's nothing to it. So I'm just like, babe, I love you, but I don't want to get canceled.
No,
I'm sorry.
We need to thrive. And yeah, that's funny.
Maybe when we're like a lot bigger, where it's harder for us to get canceled, I'll publish it.
Yeah.
Just randomly publish an episode in there, I said.
Just put them on like as an Instagram reel. Just like just drop little bloopers in there. Like little clips into your Instagram reels, behind the scenes, bloopers with the husbands.
Yeah, I think we can do that. And I even told him, I was like, I would never ask you again because he was like, oh, I took the time and you're not going to publish it. And I was like, because some of the things that you said, like, we're not offended, the two of us, but I don't know about our listeners if they can be like, oh, this is funny, Like to us, it was funny. But I'm pretty sure not everybody will find it funny. So I was just like, we can't. Like, maybe in the future, like, I'll do it.
Yeah, just do a little Instagram series where you pop the reels in like every other week so people keep coming back for more.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
My son's just like peeking in. We just got home and then he's like, do not. They love to be a part of everything my photography world.
I know it.
They love it. Well, I really appreciate you guys for asking me.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. I might DM you when we need like a model to interview.
I can get one of my models. I know Jordan would do it. I'd make him do it. And his girlfriend. And they did a couple shoot and they did separate shoots. So,
Oh, there you go.
But Jordan shot with me several times, but I would just have to, make sure he doesn't say anything bad about me.
Oh, if he'll do it, maybe he could sneak him in for a holiday gift episode. Like we were thinking about for the holidays, like right around if we got like a male model and that was like our gift to listeners. Like
100%. It's this one.
Like if his girlfriends, if they have a couple shoot, that's even better.
I can even like have him like with all of his, book covers.
Put them as our backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan would totally ask you he would answer all the questions and he shot with me several, and he's worked with other photographers. So he'll obviously tell you I'm his favorite.
Maybe we should totally do that. Because like we need a holiday one. Because I was just like, it's going to be awkward to end our season 1, just like random things. And I'm just like, we need one. And we've been like trying to find a model and nobody would like, because they're way popular. So nobody is like responding. And I'm just like, well, now we got an in.
I'll make Jordan do it. Worst case scenario, he'll say I have to do it with him and I'll make him come here and do it with me. I'm sure he would do it. I'll even message him tomorrow. I'll be like, Jordan, will you do a podcast with me?
There you go.
I'm going to text him and be like, Jordan.
Be sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any new episodes. If you have any authors or any bookish ideas that you'd like to see on our podcast, you can DM us on TikTok or Instagram. Well, that's all. See you next time.
See them.